picked up a new to me but used American Models New York Central caboose and noticed that the lights flickered in it and remembered that this is just pretty common across different American Flyer items that I have and S-Gauge items that I have. So today's video is experimenting and then finding a solution for taking care of the light flicker that so many of us experience with American Flyer and S-scale cars. Today on Austin's American Flyer. So I decided to do a little bit of preventative maintenance, if you will. Thought about putting LEDs in here, which you certainly could, but I did do some testing, and the bulbs in here did a lot of flickering, even with a capacitor. So this capacitor should charge and have a small amount of continuous power to keep these things from flickering, and I didn't see that happening. So I took the board off and I was just looking at how it's wired up. So you've got these ends where the nuts, and they've got a tiny washer that goes between the bottom nut and that board, and then there's a top nut that comes down and gives it the anaconda squeeze to keep things connected power-wise. So I thought, well, you know, this thing probably has loosened up over time, so I'm going to go ahead and cinch it back down and tighten it a little bit more than it had been. When you do this kind of work, what you need to keep in mind or bear in mind is this is a long screw that actually also holds the truck on. So if you start turning that shaft, you can tighten the trucks up, which is what happened in this case. So after I put the board down, I'm going to put my thin needle nose pliers in like this and just grab the edges of it as I tighten down the top nut to try to keep this shaft from turning. And if it does turn, then I'll have to figure out a different approach. But just something to be leery of if you're working on one of these. And I noticed as I was kind of looking at this that I do recall that I have another one or two of these cabooses that the lights just are intermittent at best. So if this proves to be successful, I may use this same approach on a couple others. If this doesn't prove to be successful, another idea would be to actually solder a little wire on the top of this nut and then bring it down and solder it here to the copper underneath. You could do that on each end as a way to improve conductivity, because I think that these wipers are good. I think that they do a good job of drawing current from each wheel's set of wheels. So you've got kind of one side picks up power on this end, and you know, so on and so forth on the other end, with one set being insulated. So I don't know how easily you can see this, but you can see the insulator there, hopefully, around the axle on this set of wheels, and then on this set there's no insulator. So that means, well, you know what that means. All right, so I'll go ahead and get this going. Well, I think you observed what I did, that while I would say probably there was improvement with some of the cleanup that I did to the contacts on the board, there still was flickering. And I know there is a capacitor, and capacitors smooth out circuits, and you know, they even to an extent can store some energy. And the one on here is maybe not the biggest one. So I thought, well, I'd like to try something. And so I went to that jungle site we all frequent, and I bought some capacitors that should, if I did my education correctly, should help smooth out the fluctuations by storing a little bit more juice. I am not an electrician. I play one on YouTube. No, not really, but we'll see. One of the things that's kind of cool is this has a bridge rectifier in it. So that means it's taking the AC current and it's changing it to DC, which is really good because these have a plus and a minus on them, the legs that are longer and shorter. I think the short one is positive, or is that big? Is that nope, short is negative. Okay, so well, I think yeah. So I'm going to hook. My plan is to remove the shell and then hook one up in parallel to the one that's there already, and then see what happens. And hopefully I won't damage anything. The other option, of course, is to change to LED bulbs because they take such a small fraction of power compared to these incandescent lights. But I'd like to see if maybe this will help. Because again, as I described earlier, there is something nice about the incandescent glow and how it floods the car. So I I hooked up one. I drilled tiny holes and hooked this one up, and the difference was that the flashing slowed down. So you'd power up the lights and you'd remove power and it would just slow down. So then I hooked up a second one and it was a little bit slower. Then I hooked up a third one and now it's even slower. So anyhow, it does make a difference to have capacitors engaged in the circuit. I'm going to with those off. Let's see, go back to where it was. You can see it comes on much quicker and fades out much quicker. So it's kind of a fun experiment. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put a whole bunch of those together, and let's see how slow we can get the fade. I really wish I had something like a breadboard. Sweet. Anyhow, this is my hick way of throwing things together. So just so you know what's going on, so we've got a bridge rectifier converting the voltage from AC to DC. Then it's going to I'm trying to remember the right word. Polarity is what they're doing, but these capacitors that have a negative and a positive side. So we've got this one that I added, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that, well, it's sketchy, but here we go. Okay, I'm gonna let power off. 3, 2, 1. Man, makes a difference. 1, and it comes on slower too. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now let's see if I can just go ahead and disconnect additional capacitors. And we'll go back to basic 2. Well, it's not. It's a little tricky to get this powered up. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Anyhow, you can see the difference. So certainly some improvement, not quite as much as I'd hoped. But again, I am not an electrician. Here's one thing that as I was doing a little bit of research and letting AI help me do that, which who knows how accurate that is. The capacitance, I believe, is this kind of funky looking U. Well, probably help if you could focus in there. Okay, so this capacitor's that came with it has a rating of up to 35 volts, capacitance of 470. The one I put on has a rating of up to 25 volts, so not quite as high, but this goes up to 20, has a capacitance of 2200. So based on a little bit of research I did, I thought 25 to 35 was the kind of the voltage you wanted to be at, because the higher the better. You don't want to ever go under the voltage that you're going to be exposing your system to, because it'll fry your capacitors. And if I understood things right, the higher the capacitor, the higher that number, kind of the longer it took to bleed the current back off, which is, again, that's my layman's way of saying it. So again, I don't know if that's helpful or not, but as you saw, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including this one added, and it made a more noticeable difference. But it's not like you know, the light stayed on after you disconnect the power, and that was kind of what I was hoping, because I've seen that. Now, word of warning, okay? I know enough about capacitors to know that they are dangerous. Because they hold a charge, you have to be extremely careful around them, especially bigger ones, because they can kill, like the kind that you put on maybe an air conditioner condenser outside. Those have a lot of stored voltage. So, you know, are these gonna kill a person? They shouldn't, but you could get shocked. So you just want to be real careful. Now, you saw how quickly they bled off. So, you know, I don't know that these are going to be a problem. But having said that, I'm still gonna hook a light up to these and make sure there's no residual power left in there. Right, so I changed my mind. I put LEDs in, took the incandescent out. So let's do a little experiment here and see if we get any change in the longevity of the lights being on. So I've got a transformer set at 50%, and I'm going to turn this one overhead light off so that we can see pretty clearly what's going on. All right, so I'll count 3, 2, 1, turn the transformer on, give it power, count 3, 2, 1 again, turn the power off, and then we'll see how long these things last. All right, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Power's off. Started at 42 seconds on my phone here. It's now been 10 seconds. See, there's still light there. 20 seconds. $30 seconds. So I don't know how long these would actually stay lit. Now, it's not very much output. That's why I've got the lights turned off so you can actually see it. But what I've done in my 2 other tests so far is I've actually put the incandescent bulbs on, because that, you know, that zaps the power right away. But that is the difference, turning the lights on back on. That's the difference between LED current draw and incandescent current draws. Now, these are actually still lit. I can see they're still on. But isn't that crazy? That is just, it's mind-boggling. Now, I should have done that. Well, I didn't know. It would have been interesting to do it without putting the secondary capacitor on. But needless to say, yeah, and I can still see it's lit a little bit, and we are over a minute. So it's like a minute and 30 seconds, I think. Anyhow, it's been a while. But what this does then is this removes the flickering at all. So, in fact, you turn the power off, and the caboose is going to stay lit for, well, to the naked eye for 2 minutes, and then there's actually still power. I'm going to turn the light back off, see if we can still see it. Isn't that crazy? We're now over 2 minutes now, I think. Getting close to 3 minutes here. Yeah, it's about 3 minutes right now. Okay, pretty fascinating. So now I'm going to take some, I don't know, probably hot glue, and I left these leads a little bit long so I could kind of put them on there. It doesn't look real pretty, but, you know, it's going to be behind frosted window panes, so it'll be okay. Just don't tell anyone. All right, and then we'll do some testing on the layout once I've got things back. All right, now we're gonna see what happens when we kill the power of the caboose. Pretty awesome. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this.